Alcohol, no matter what it is, what type, whether it's wine, spirits, beer or otherwise, alcohol, the fear factor. Why do we get the fear factor? I wasn't frightened of anything. I'm not frightened of anything now. When I was drinking, in the end stage of drinking, I was frightened of everything. Everything. Every single thing worried me. From the weather to who was walking past the flat. Why is that? I don't know about you, but my anxiety level was through the roof when I used to drink. Now, the 3 or 4 times I was off the drink, 2 or 3 years at a time, one for 8 years actually, and I felt amazing, strong again, confident, nothing bothers me. Nothing I ever did, unless I was on the drink. It was from the sublime to the ridiculous, to be fair, that I went from being a tall, confident police officer in London to being a mouse-like creature who used to creep around when the drink got a hold of me. Mental health, isn't it? It's got to be mental health. It wasn't just physical. Something happens in your brain. Because if you see a lot of alcoholics, I mean, I'm talking real alcoholics here, I'm not talking about bullshit idiots in pubs who are too loud or who start fights. I'm talking about alcoholics, people who are physically and chemically dependent. Very quiet people, because they've got the fear factor. You walk in any pub at 11:05 in the morning, who's in there? There's going to be a few, 95% of the time, men with a newspaper sitting very quietly, because they know they've got to focus on getting this drink down just to survive. I've never met a bullshit, loudmouth alcoholic, because they've got the fear factor. And the fear factor, to me, has been stigmatized, badly thought of, a number of things. The anxiety becomes so intense that you worry about every piece of mail you get, any bills, anything like that, because you think you can't deal with them. In reality, you can't, because all you're thinking about is the drink, and it makes you very weak in the mind. I don't think this is discussed enough. Why we find the things from a confident guy who used to drive, now, drive, fly, run, walk, go on the train, go on a bus, whatever, row along a river. I couldn't do anything like that. I couldn't do anything. I was frightened to get on a bus. The times I used to go to the doctors between sort of 2017 and 2019 when I was really ill, I had to get a taxi driver or a friend I knew very well to take me. People used to drop me food off. I was frightened to go to the shops, frightened of crowds. I used to work in the West End of London, frightened of crowds. There's nothing but crowds, is there? So this anxiety, the fear factor I would call it, creeps up on you, and it will, when you relapse, if you do relapse, that's the first thing I noticed. It wasn't the physical stuff, because I had 8 years off and I was physically fit. It was the sheer terror of when we're going to get the next drink from, because after 8 years sober, I just drank a little bit. I still looked fine, I still felt fine physically, but mentally there's something torturing me there saying, you need to get another drink, you need a supply of drink, and then you start to hide things, start to be sneaky, and then you think, well, it's got me now, I can't get out, there's no one to help me. You become negative, you become in a negative spiral. And when you have a negative thought process, everything goes negative. It's strange that, but it will. When you're positive in life, you will still face issues, but you can deal with them. And you can deal with them with confidence. And you're able to process information. Because when you're in the drink, puddled with the drink, addled with the drink, or whatever you want to call it, you don't think clearly. I don't know what happens in your head. It's not just me, because I've spoken to other people about it. I thought it was just me. But something comes in your head and says, I'm going to take over your mind. Because alcohol is, by definition, a mind-altering drug. That's what it is, a drug. So very quickly, you'll notice, or I did, my mental health went down quicker than physical health. Because when you're off the drink, you've got plans, you go out, you've got friends, you've got holidays to go on, you've got trains to catch, you've got a life. When you're back on the drink, all you see is the dark inside of a pub. You see the same people. You go to the same off license for the same drinks to get to know you. 12 cans of this, 12 bottles of that. Do you want the Stella again? Do you want Soproni? Because they're not interested in you. They just want sales, don't they? Same as the bar staff. And then you see the same people in there in the morning with the newspaper sitting quietly because they're dependent on that poison juice, as I call it. So when this anxiety starts to creep in, when you're drinking too much, that's when you need to watch out. Because you'll see people who look physically well, but mentally they're not. I've got a bit of a push on this because rarely did I see a doctor who asked me about my mental health. All they said was, how are you feeling? Physically, you know, are you strong? Are you sleeping all right? All that sort of thing. They never said, have you got any mental problems? And all they want to do is prescribe. It's only when you speak to an alcoholic who can actually explain what they feel like, you can get some help, I think. Maybe that's why people choose AA. I did try AA twice. It didn't work for me because I thought this 12-step thing, I couldn't get a grip of that. And I thought, you know, it's up to me. In the end, it wasn't up to me to stop. It was the hospital that made me stop. But this anxiety and this fear of doing anything will take over very quickly. And the alcohol will just dissolve your confidence. You know, take it all away, every little bit of it. The things you used to do, all your hobbies, your interests, your pastimes will all go. Sometimes I used to be even frightened to go to sleep in case I choke, or I'm out in vomit or something happened. And then you wake up, have I got enough drinks? I was so fearful I'd run out of drink. I said in another video, I had 40 slabs of Stella in a cupboard once. You know, nearly 1,000 cans of beer, just in case I ran out. It's madness, isn't it? It's actually insane. And I think this needs to be addressed more, the mental health side of stuff. Because if your brain's the one who's taking you to the pub, isn't it? Your brain's the one who's making you ring for more alcohol. Your brain is craving it. And I don't believe that it's just physical in the main. I think it hits your brain first, and I think that's the driver of it. And if you haven't seen any of the other videos, I remember going in one night when I had a few procedures done. I still had the ascites flu, so I was quite ill still. During COVID, now I said to the doctor, I told my daughter, listen, because the only person I trusted at the time. I mean, now I trust my life with my partner, but my daughter was there, and I said, listen, I need to tell you something, but don't tell your grandma and grandfather. But she told me, no, I don't know, probably not. I said, I've had feelings of suicide. She was very, very switched on, my daughter, and she said, tell the doctor. Now, I was still worried about telling the doctor. I don't know why. Anyway, I told this doctor, lovely girl. Yo, Lord, doctors are great. Love them to bits. I said, I need to tell you something, apart from the physical side of things, because I was very deconditioned, very, very thin and unwell. I said, I've actually thought about suicide. And she said, she just took my arm and rubbed my arm, and she said, listen, this happens to a lot of people who get into this situation you're in. It's not unusual, but you must, you know, focus on what you've got good in life. Have you got anything good? I said, the only thing I've got is my daughter. And it was her who saved my life, really, my daughter. But the doctor said she'd get me some help. Later on that night, another female doctor came in, did exactly the same thing, asked how it was, this, that and the other. And said, oh, I'll get you some help. I never got any follow-up from that. There's no mental health support, really, unless I looked for it myself. In the end, I didn't need it, because when I stopped drinking, the anxiety went, and everything's fine. I was very, very lucky, but other people have got massive mental health issues with this. So watch out for the fear factor. If that starts to creep in, you know you're in trouble. Get to a doctor, get some advice, try and taper off a little bit and get your life back. I know it sounds simple, that, but it can be done. If I can do it, you can do it, because I was really close to death and now my life's bang on. It's brilliant. If you benefit from the channel, then subscribe, please. I've got an ebook out as well. It's only £5, I pray for a pint. It's got some good information in there about how to get sober and stay sober. It's a bit of background about me as well. And I shall speak to you all very soon.